do nothing wrong. Nothing wrong.
Okay.
Okay? You just hit me because you saw my face.
Ma'am, I've never even met you.
Okay. Dear man, I am not complaining about you stopping me. I'm asking you my right to know why you have stopped me.
And
What is my
I've
infraction?
already explained to you 3 times now.
I am not going to
Once
give
you provide
my
the documents.
information
Okay.
if I did not commit
fine.
a crime.
That's fine. If you refuse to give me the documents I've requested, yes,
If
we're
you
going to go
tell
down
me
that
what
route.
is my infractions, I will give you
That's
my
not how that works.
No, that's how exactly
This is my traffic stop.
It was April 20th, 2025, and the time was exactly 9 a.m. Clara Sterling, a highly respected professor of law and a mentor to some of the city's most powerful legal minds, was behind the wheel of her brand new luxury sedan. She wasn't speeding, and she wasn't distracted. Her mind was miles away, heavy with the weight of a personal tragedy. Her husband was in the hospital on life support, and she had just received a frantic call from his doctors. As she turned onto Fairview Avenue, the sudden, jarring flash of blue and red lights filled her rearview mirror. A patrol cruiser, driven by an officer known for his aggressive, street-level tactics, had been trailing her for 3 blocks. The officer didn't see a grieving woman or a prestigious scholar. He saw a woman of color in a vehicle that he decided was too nice for the neighborhood. He pulled her over, not for a dangerous moving violation, but for a minor technical issue, an obscured license plate. The officer stepped out of his vehicle with a posture of immediate confrontation. He didn't offer a polite good morning or ask for a reason for her haste. Instead, he loomed over her window, his hand resting provocatively on his belt. Before Clara could even speak, he demanded her license, registration, and proof of insurance in a voice dripping with condescension. Clara, despite her emotional state, remained composed. She knew the law better than the man wearing the badge. She calmly asked for the reason for the stop, a right she had taught to thousands of students over her 30-year career. But the officer wasn't interested in the law. He was interested in submission. He mocked her questions, telling her that he was the one in charge and that she didn't get to dictate how his traffic stop was conducted. When Clara explained that she was a doctor of law and was currently responding to a medical emergency involving her husband, the officer's response was chilling. He sneered, making a disparaging remark about her attitude and suggesting that her husband's life support status was likely a lie to get out of a ticket. By 9:10 a.m., the encounter had shifted from a routine traffic stop into a calculated act of harassment. Clara sat in her car, her hands shaking, not from guilt, but from the raw trauma of being treated like a criminal while her world was falling apart. The officer continued to belittle her, ignoring her credentials and treating her like a clientele from the high crime districts he usually patrolled. He had no idea that every word he spoke was being recorded, and that his target was the one person who knew exactly how to dismantle his career. By 9:15 a.m., the situation reached a point of no return. Dr. Clara Sterling, still reeling from the news of her husband's failing health, attempted one last time to appeal to the officer's humanity. She showed him the hospital alert on her phone, but the officer's reaction was one of pure ego. He claimed that because she hadn't complied fast enough with his demands for a third form of ID, she was now being detained for obstruction. In a display of unnecessary force, he ordered the 60-year-old professor out of her vehicle. As she stood on the side of the road, he spun her around and ratcheted the steel handcuffs onto her wrists so tightly that she winced in pain. For the next 30 minutes, a woman who had spent her life defending the Constitution was forced to sit on the hot pavement like a common criminal. The officer ignored her pleas to call the hospital, instead spending the time mocking her luxury car and her fancy titles. He felt powerful, entirely unaware that the quiet neighborhood he was in was home to the city's legal elite. At 9:40 a.m., a black SUV pulled up to the scene. The man who stepped out wasn't a neighbor. It was the district attorney, one of Clara's former star pupils. The look of horror on the DA's face when he saw his mentor in handcuffs on the curb signaled the immediate end of the officer's power trip. The officer, realizing the weight of his mistake, tried to pivot. He claimed Clara had been combative and suspicious, but the dash cam and Clara's own recording told a different story. They told the story of a racist power trip against a grieving woman. The DA ordered Clara's immediate release, but the damage was already done. Because of the delay, Clara arrived at the hospital 20 minutes after her husband had passed away. She was robbed of her final goodbye because an officer wanted to prove a point about his own authority. The legal fallout was a tidal wave that crushed the department's defense. During the federal trial, the prosecution played the audio of the officer mocking Clara's husband's medical emergency. The jury was so appalled by the blatant racial profiling and the malicious indifference shown to a woman in crisis that they bypassed the usual settlement amounts. They wanted to send a message that would echo through every precinct in the country. The final verdict was a landmark $1.2 million payout. The officer was not only fired, but was hit with a rare personal liability judgment that stripped him of his pension. The city was forced to rename their civil rights training program after Dr. Clara Sterling. Today, Clara uses the settlement to fund legal aid for victims of police misconduct, ensuring that no other family has to endure the trauma of a badge being used as a weapon of hate. She proved that while an officer can chain a person's hands, they can never chain the truth. A $1.2 million settlement can't bring back the final moments Clara lost with her husband. Do you think the officer should have faced criminal charges for his actions? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. If you stand with Dr. Sterling and victims of profiling, hit that subscribe button and help us reach more people with these stories of justice.